So the FA Cup fourth round got underway last night with Manchester United's convincing 4-0 win at Yeovil. We have 12 ties from today to get our teeth into in the company of Dion Dublin and Danny Murphy, who didn't get the burgundy memo. English football came together this weekend, though, to mark the passing of one of the game's most loved figures, Jimmy Armfield, who died earlier this week at the age of 82. A truly lovely man who will be missed. League Two Newport pulled off one of the shocks of round three as they saw off Leeds United. Today, Premier League Tottenham Hotspur visited Rodney Parade, the second oldest ground in the football leagues. And Guy Mowbray, our second youngest commentator, was there.
I feel a little bit greedy because I'm a little bit disappointed because they scored so late in the game. And it's the only time we switched off, and you give quality players like that, they punish you. And unfortunate, that's what happened. But I'm so proud of my players, the way they stuck to the game plan, they worked their socks off, and they gave everything. And I'm sure I'll wake up in the morning be one of the happiest men alive.
We were so poor first half. I think we are so disappointed for the first half. I think they were so energetic and so motivated to play. That is normal, and for us it was difficult to match them in this level. And yes, I am so unhappy. Because I think if you want to win some title, if you want to go further and have the possibility to fight for big things, we need to show more.
Well, Patrick, are you feeling the disappointment more than most because you very nearly had all the headlines to yourself?
Yeah, look, it would have been lovely, but more importantly, it would have been a victory for the team. But look, I think it's a result that we'll be very, very happy with. The chairman's going to be very, very happy. It's just a little bit disappointing that we didn't hold out for the victory, but everyone of the lads put in a brilliant effort today, and we can be very, very proud of what we've done today.
Newport made it difficult for us. They had a game plan, they stuck to it, they got ahead. And yeah, when the clock starts ticking down, you start to get worried. But look, we're still in the hat. Obviously, we're taken to Wembley and hopefully get the result there.
The chairman's going to be happy.
I hope so. I'm sure the whole of Newport are happy because they've just seen one of the best results in the club's history.
Newport are going to Wembley for a replay, but 71 places between those two sides. It's a classic, romantic FA Cup story. Could have been even more romantic. What's it like, though, when you're the Goliath in Spurs? You turn up at a ground that normally sees a few thousand people every Saturday. The floodlights were clearly causing a problem for some of the players. The pitch is all tight.
Yep.
The dressing room is the size of most on-street bathrooms.
Fans are very close. You've got no room to take your corners or your throw-ins. I used to love being the underdog and having the big boys come to. When I played at Cambridge United, we had Crystal Palace come, we had Man United come as well, played against Arsenal as well. And it's all about the individual at the big club. Do they fancy it? Do they really want to play on a cold, wet day in a horrible stadium on a really poor pitch? Newport made Spurs very uncomfortable today.
That's a good word. Spurs did look really uncomfortable in the first half.
Well, they did, and a lot of the Tottenham players probably haven't. I mean, I played at Crewe, you played at Cambridge, so we've experienced it. A lot of those Tottenham lads haven't experienced being down there, and it can be a bit daunting at times. But let's take nothing away from Newport, because every one of them can be proud of their performance. The manager can be proud of the way he's prepared them, the game plan. And they carried it out brilliantly. It wasn't just a lucky result, it was a fantastic performance.
Bad defending that could have been avoided. But what Tozer does, it's a weapon for Newport, and Spurs didn't defend it well once.
Too many Tottenham players didn't perform today, and they're lucky they got away with one. I don't expect a problem in the replay, but that should be a little lesson for them. Too many of them weren't ready for the battle.
But they weren't allowed to play today. They weren't allowed to play. In the Premier League, you do get your head up, and you don't get that when you play against the lower league team. With all due respect, they worked hard and they got their just rewards.
And well done to Wilmot as well, who got the cross in there. A year ago, he was working in Tesco.
Well, that was a good delivery.
That's where Dion might be in a year.
If I play my cards right...
You've got enough daytime TV shows. OK, it seems like a lifetime ago that Wigan Athletic lifted the FA Cup in one of the greatest final shocks of all time. 5 years later and flying high in League One under Paul Cook, Wigan saw off Bournemouth in round three and today entertained more Premier League opposition in West Ham.
We're disappointed to be out the cup, but, we didn't play well enough today and Wigan thoroughly deserved their victory.
We're delighted, to have such a good win against such a strong team. Again, key moments in the game have gone for us. The sending off just after half-time when West Ham had started the second half so strong. probably turned the game totally in our favour then. But great credit to our players. I felt at times in the first half we deserved it. I felt we were the most aggressive team, but you have to respect these teams like West Ham have a different agenda. Their Premier League status is massive to them. I think David Moyes done a fantastic job ensuring that looks good, and I'm sure their mind really would be on Tuesday night against Crystal Palace.
Certainly the error for the decision to send one of our players off was despicable what he done. So just when I thought we were getting back in the game, we were only 1-0 down, we weren't playing that well, but we were giving ourselves every chance to get back in it, but that changed it.
No complaints about that then?
None at all. No, nothing you can do. All I would say is that there's no way the referee saw it, but ultimately they got to the right decision.
I've appealed straight away, and I think the linesman's got a really good view of it. So you get some, you don't, and today we got that.
Well, that's a poor decision. For that to change the game, I mean, it's really difficult. The boy's coming across. Undoubtedly, Grigg sort of tried to check the ball back inside, but I don't know where he can put his arms or his elbows. I don't know how that can be seen as a penalty kick. But we're in a position where I don't think the referees and the linesmen, they actually know it's a penalty kick anymore.
David Moyes kind of set his stall out about this early in the week, didn't he, with his press conference, saying how it was more important to stay in the Premier League, and if you asked Wigan fans, they would say the same. But what you saw today, actually, was energy from Wigan, top of League One. Only Man City have won more games this season than them, and a West Ham side who are depleted with injuries, struggling to get that momentum going, and there was that disparity on the pitch all the way through. There
was energy, and they were energyless, West Ham. They just didn't seem to be at the races. They couldn't string two passes together. Normally, when you've got a side that have got decent players, you start forming relationships with left back and left full back and right side winger, and you start to create relationships. But there's no relationships in the West Ham side at all. There's no continuity. There's nobody taking responsibility if it's not going well, or anybody wanted to take charge of the game.
But let's talk about the positives of Wigan and players who are doing well. And the headline writers might tell us that Will Grigg's on fire, but Nick was pretty hot today as well.
This is how you take charge of a situation in order to make your team.
What you don't do when your team are down and struggling in the league and also depleted with injuries is do what Arthur Masuaku did today. And his manager said it was despicable. He could be heading for a 6-match ban, which...
Really? They're doing that? I don't get it.
Yes, but what I would say is the biggest problem for me is letting all his teammates down. And they've already got a hell of an injury list. And I feel for West Ham because they've got their best players injured. And it's tough when you've got the best players missing.
No Lanzini, no
He's been good, by the way.
Yeah,
He's been really good. That is unacceptable, and I'm glad David Moyes has said that. Well, he had to. I mean, it is unacceptable, but that's a big blow for West Ham because they're going to miss him.
He also had a moan there as well about the penalty, which you two would be in agreement with him.
Never a pen, far too close. Leeds couldn't get his arm out of the way.
Prove to the manager that they should be in that team have failed him today. He needs his best players back and quickly.
Meanwhile, Wigan are still in the pot, and of course Joe Hart, who was in goal, has seen a Wigan team triumph in front of him when he was at Man City, so he would have had a sense of déjà vu today as well. Well, a debut goal for Virgil van Dijk in a spiky Merseyside derby saw Liverpool through to round 4. They faced Premier League opposition again today as 19th place West Brom travelled to Anfield.
Well, it's a big result because, it's difficult to come to these places and have a positive attitude and play without fear. So it was lovely to see that we did that tonight.
I must ask you about the VAR in the first half. What did you make of it, particularly the time it took to get to the decisions?
Well, look, that's normal. If it's the first time, it's new, and it was two very difficult decisions. Breaks the rhythm. Yeah, of course, it should be a little bit quicker, but at the end, it's completely normal at the beginning that it takes time. So, how is that? Not the reason.
Well, for your pundits up there in the studio, which I've obviously done, they can work out whether there was the right calls or not. Green for us. So it's not like tennis when the ball's in or out. So we're completely in the dark. Everybody's in the dark. The manager I think needs to be looked at carefully going forward, after all the experiences we've all had today.
Well, I think the headlines will be about VAR tomorrow, and when the winning manager is expressing concerns like that and decisions have gone for and against him, obviously you know that within the stadium it was a very, very big talking point. So let's get into the decisions, because actually you don't feel there's much contentious about what was ultimately decided. They were all the right decisions.
I'm glad they got the decisions right. It does need some tweaking. I personally agree with you. I think it's better that we've got it. I don't agree with Alan Podger that there's going to be hamstring problems. I mean, I think that's just...
You actually think that it helped West Brom?
I do, because of Liverpool's momentum was stopped quite a lot. And the one thing you do when you go away from home against the big teams is you want to stop the game, make it stop-start. But let's give West Brom some credit. They played really well all over the pitch. Good experience out there, passed the ball well, caused Liverpool lots of problems.
Just going back to VAR very quickly, though, because it will be this big talking point, and there's all kinds of things being mooted. Should there be limited amounts? Should it be 3 per game? Should it be like tennis, that, you know, the managers are in control of it? Whatever is decided and whatever the outcome is, surely inside the stadiums, the fans who are paying their money to go and see their team need to know what's going on.
They need to know what's going on. They need a quicker decision. But I don't think you're going to get that yet, because the ref and the people that are looking at the VAR in the booth aren't used to it either. So they've got to have a bit of patience with the referees and the officials.
Screens. You mean the screens?
Yeah, screens inside so fans know. Yeah.
That would help the fans.
Yeah, I genuinely think if the football associations went and spoke to the rugby associations, they'd get it right.
OK, let's talk about some positives. And for Jay Rodriguez, there were plenty tonight.
This is huge in football. If you're down the bottom and you're starting to pick up, then you're feeling better about being above it and then falling backwards. And they look like a team that have got a little spring in their step. And I think it's a massive result in that respect, because you go to Liverpool and win, you go in, whatever the next game is in midweek, they go into it feeling like they can beat anybody. And that's a big thing as a football team.
I mean, if you go to Anfield and score 3 goals, you deserve to win the game.
The Liverpool team who'd gone,
who you are,
until their last game, had gone 18 games unbeaten as well. And they were a team in a real high place.
They were, but too many Liverpool players today, this high press and this high energy that they use a lot and do it very, very well. Too many of them didn't defend well today. I don't know whether it was tiredness, I'm not sure, but too many of them didn't run back and didn't do the hard yards, which you have to do, simple things.
OK, thanks for the moment, guys. Well, if you think that was good and certainly was controversial, we've still got all this to go. To saw off Championship Brentford in round 3. Today they face Premier League strugglers Swansea City at Meadow Lane.
That's what they've been doing week in, week out, and that's why they've got to where they are at the minute, you know, being second in the league and in this round of the Cup. So hats off to them, and hopefully, you know, they'll keep going.
Now you have to have a replay. It's not what you really want, is it, at this stage?
No, it's okay. We live with the reality. The reality is this one. So I will be frustrated if he was out of the competition. So we're still fighting in this competition also. We protect players to the game against Arsenal. So we're just missing win the game, because in general we are happy with everything.
Can you win the replay, do you think, now?
Listen, we're still in the draw, and FA Cup, magical things can happen. So obviously we know it's going to be a tall order, but there's a lot of spirit and belief in that dressing room right now, and you saw that second half. So there's no reason why we can't do what we did in the last round and cause another upset.
Well, it was clearly a second half that reflected something that had gone on in the dressing room, and actually one of Kevin Nolan's comments that they showed them perhaps a bit too much respect in that first half. They, in the second half, had a lot more physicality.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to air Kevin Nolan's half-time talk, because I think he would have gone straight down their throats. He would have said to them, listen, show us some confidence. You're a good team. You know, I've got good players here. Go and play, enjoy it, work hard. I trust you, that kind of chat. And they came out the second half and they were just outstanding. Created chance after chance. Them two.
John Stead's record's incredible, isn't it? Scored in every round, which is 4 so far for them. Of course, had that amazing run with Bradford City as well, and seems to be up for the similar kind of run this year.
Maybe we should try and get that in. I think Notts County's second half performance and the belief they showed, which was the key. They believed in themselves, got them a well-earned replay.
And can they go down to South Wales and get themselves through?
I don't see why. If they can start the game like they started the second half, they've got a very good chance, and I'm sure the manager, Kevin Nolan, will be telling them that. Start like you ended.
OK. Still plenty more fourth-round ties left, and our first round-up begins with Coventry City, who ended, of course, Mark Hughes' tenure at Stoke with that shock victory in round 3. But no replay for Coventry City, and I know you're itching to talk about them. I should just say Damien Johnson and Patrick Geary with the round-up there for us. After the incredible performance in the third round against Stoke, which ultimately led to the end of Mark Hughes, as I said a moment ago, do you get a feeling that, and with what's happened since with Cyril Regis, this could be just a bit of a year for them?
Just wanted them. I wanted them to get with all due respect to MK Dons, maybe a big draw just to make a few quid, and they got MK Dons, and they've gone past a very tricky hurdle in MK Dons, and they're still in the hat. I want them to get a big team now in the next, just to make a few quid for the fans. They haven't had anything to cheer about for some time. I just want them to get a nice, big tie in the next round.
Yeah, there was a slight kind of when they got MK Dons, wasn't there? In the last time their name was pulled out the hat. A big juicy Premier League tie, that would be fitting, wouldn't it?
It'd be fantastic. I mean, the 1987 final they won was one of my favourite games. I remember, and I'm sure that their supporters do as well. Yeah. And you talk about Sir Regis and. You know, fantastic for Coventry, and their supporters loved him, and he played in that 87 game, but also West Brom.
Yeah.
You know, they could play each other, but no, it'd be great for them to get a really big tie.
Yeah, I agree.
They've had tough times down there at Coventry.
Thanks, guys. Well, Peterborough thumped Aston Villa in round 3 and were rewarded with a home tie against Leicester City, who, of course, took 2 games to see off another League One side, Fleetwood Town.
It was important for us to start in the game with the good attitude and the good concentration. It was interesting and on the positive attitude, on the duels, on the quality in our football, and with 3 fantastic goals at the beginning of the game. And after, of course, it was easier for us to find a good space and to continue this good work.
We're frustrated, but I'm also proud of the boys to get to this stage of the FA Cup. We've played against Leicester, who on the day were outstanding. Don't know how many changes they made from their last game. I think it might have been 8 or 9 or 10 maybe, but whoever they bring into the
10, but it was still a strong team.
Whoever they bring into the team is, they're top class players, and they move the ball so quick and bring you in the areas that you don't want to go, and we struggle to cope with that.
I love it. So scoring in the FA Cup, so it's a great competition. So playing it makes it more beautiful. So I'm happy playing in the FA Cup.
And nice to knock on the door and give the manager something to think about, more game time perhaps.
Yeah, need more game time, keep playing, keep scoring and keep working hard every game and every training, so I can go back.
Well, this game kind of the opposite of some of the games we've seen, where Goliath did come and actually slay David and put up a great performance with 10 changes, Leicester. But what did Peterborough not quite get right, do you think, there?
Well, they tried to press quite high early on, which isn't a bad thing, but they were up against a really good Leicester side who picked them off. They didn't press in enough numbers at the right time, and they didn't vary their play up with the ball. They kept trying to play out, and Leicester kept catching them. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're having a really good season, and it's good to see them trying to play the right way.
You've got to know you're playing against them.
Correct, yeah. And it's game management, varying your game at the right moments. And when they went a 1 or 2 down and Leicester were on top, that was the time to stop playing out and getting caught in possession. But Leicester were really, really good.
Yeah, and what a joy for a manager to make 10 changes and see a new strike partnership up front play how Iheanacho and Diabate did as well.
Great additions. We haven't seen much of them, have we?
No.
If they can get 40-50 million from Mahrez, which is the figures being talked about,
they've got Silva as well.
Then and you've got talent like that in reserves, the manager must feel quietly confident tonight.
I think because of the way Diabate plays, it's very similar to the Mahrez take players on. I like a one-on-one. I'll take him and I'll create something. He might just fit into that mould. He's got big shoes to fill by trying to fill Mahrez's shoes.
Where's Mahrez going then?
I think he might go to West Ham,
Oh dear. Can't see
Premier League Brighton were up against Championship Middlesbrough today.
Delighted with the application of the players. A tight game as we expected. I felt as the game opened up that we had the better opportunities to work that ball into the final third, but certainly as we got towards the end of the game, it looked like it was going to be a replay, which is certainly what both managers, I'm presuming that Tony would have been the same, would not have wanted, but really delighted to have got that winner.
I don't think we deserved it. I think that's the second home game in consecutive weeks that we've played well enough to win the game, and I've got beaten the last couple of minutes or in injury time. But the lads have worked so hard, and the opportunity, we've got to be more clinical in the final third. We're getting in there, we've created opportunities and chances again today, but we've got to take those chances. So if they get a fortuitous goal like they did today, it really shouldn't count, because we should have scored a couple of goals ourselves.
For Brighton, though, that's just a third win in 15 games for them, and it's one of those results that, we've talked about it with perhaps West Brom, that can galvanise a team and give them that momentum in the Premier League. Yeah,
and I don't think they care how they got it either, to be fair. It was a very fortuitous goal, but, and I don't think the manager would mind, just getting over the line. Murray's that kind of player. He started on the bench, came on, and he made an impact, and I think that's all you can ask of your subs.
He's had a tough week as well, obviously. The manager had no hesitation in picking him for this one. He'll be relieved to get himself back to doing what he does best.
Oh, of course, and the one thing in a cup run, you always need a bit of luck, whoever you are. And as you progress, that look gets greater sometimes. But they did. I thought Middlesbrough's performance was good, but good performances don't matter in the FA Cup, do they?
Okay. One chance. One chance.
There you go.
Thank you very much, guys. 3 more games left, and we begin with last night's all-championship tie between Sheffield Wednesday and Reading.
It's been a good day. Good day, isn't it? Good company, good games.
A shame for them, though, isn't it, when you manage to knock out Arsenal and then you kind
go out with a whimper. They must have been shattered after that. They played so well.
Well, guys, we're going out with a bang. Thank you so much for your company today. As enjoyable as always. Let's have a little look at the Sunday papers then. The Sunday Times calls the VAR controversy in West Brom's win at Liverpool video games. Former Barcelona boss Luis Enrique is in line to replace Antonio Conte at Chelsea next season, say the Mail on Sunday. And the Express claims Real Madrid will swoop for Tottenham's Mauricio Pochettino and Harry Kane in the summer.